This week, the Australian dollar traded from 76 to just above 77 cents. It was driven entirely by offshore events, with the domestic calendar very quiet. The Aussie was boosted by the US presidential debates. While US elections typically have little impact on FX markets, within 15 minutes, markets seem to be calling a win for Hillary Clinton. The Canadian dollar and Mexican peso rose sharply on the hope that North American trade would remain free. Trump has been reiterating his anti-trade stance throughout his campaign. This saw risk sentiment rise, with US equity futures and the Australian dollar higher, and the safe haven Japanese yen lower. Risks, however, remain. There are still 2 debates before the November 8 election date, and the contest has been closer than many have expected. The Aussie was also supported by the OPEC announcement. Surprisingly, members agreed to support oil prices by reducing output. Previously, their position had been to defend market share. We will hear more details in their regular November meeting. The accord had seemed unlikely, given disagreements over which countries were willing to cut production. Brent rallied to near $50 a barrel. While Australia is a net importer of oil, it is a net exporter of energy. LNG prices are linked to oil, and the positive correlation between the Australian dollar and oil prices saw the currency rise to above 77 cents for the second time this month. The Australian dollar saw a setback as risk sentiment turned. Markets focused again on the stresses in the European banks. Concerns on whether government help would be needed saw financial stocks drag lower and equity indexes down. The Australian calendar picks up again in the week ahead. The RBA meeting on Tuesday will be Lowe's first as governor. There is no tension over the decision. Rates should remain on hold at 1.5%. There should also be little change in the statement. We will also be watching retail sales, which should show a pickup after a soft result last month, and trade balance, which should show the deficit fairly stable. In the US, the key release is the non-farm payrolls report on Friday, and China is closed for a holiday for the entire week. In the week ahead, we see the Aussie potentially probing back above 77 cents, perhaps to as far as 77.50, with the RBA sounding comfortable on Australia's outlook. Downside should be limited to around 75.50. We'll speak to you next week.